Now I have been around long enough to understand that relationships operate on a kind of internal economy. Deposits and withdrawals, compromises made and favors owed. Mark had not worked this out, but Janet was about to explain it to him in terms that required no further elaboration. 6 months is long enough to know somebody, but not quite long enough to know what you're getting into. Janet is talking with attitude. What she's saying is that they watch too much television and that not enough attention is paid to her adorable Yum Yum. Yum Yum was her Yorkie. I want you to sit with that for a moment. Yum Yum was not simply a dog. Yum Yum was a $4,000 store-bought Yorkshire Terrier who represented, in Janet's cosmology, a complete and living expression of her values and her expectations for how the world should treat things she cared about. Mark had not adequately responded to the position statement. So she laid out the terms. 2 options, clearly stated. Option 1, Mark will adore her dog, genuinely, demonstrably, with his whole heart. In return, Janet would make special sandwiches and perform what she described as excellent sex. And I will not embellish that phrase because it is already doing everything it needs to do. Option 2, they break up. The human brain, when faced with a decision of sufficient consequence, runs the futures out on the screen behind your eyes. On one screen, Janet in a negligee, a tray in her hands, a chicken sandwich with avocado, tomatoes, mayonnaise, and sprouts. The bedroom is dark. A dildo hums while The Godfather is glowing on the flat screen. Yum Yum, the Yorkie, is watching from the corner with no judgment whatsoever. The alternative, Mark sits alone, eating a room-temperature McDonald's Happy Meal while watching Apprentice reruns. His goldfish sits on the counter, watching him with the mild indifference goldfish bring. He made the choice any man would have made. They got to the condo. Janet, who had been waiting for the alliance to be formalized before she revealed the full scope of membership. She produced a flyer. The Blessing of the Animals. An East Los Angeles tradition. Hundreds of people, their favorite pets. And Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa hosted Cardinal Mahoney, who would bless everyone's animals with holy water. You could hear Mark's eyes rolling. Janet reminded him of the terms. A delivery truck pulled up to deliver the pink Barbie doggy carriage, the kind of pink that announces itself from half a block away. Mark was going to push this through a public parade, past the mayor, past the cardinal, past the assembled population of East Los Angeles, with Yum Yum inside it like a small, expensive queen. The alternative materialized in his head immediately. Taco Bell dinners while watching the Teletubbies. The bleak horizon of a man who chose wrong. He agreed to her terms. The pink stroller. The box arrived. Assembly required. Mark opened the toolbox, examined the bags of bolts and struts, studied the instruction sheet, which had made a long journey through several languages before arriving at English, and prepared himself. Janet went to the kitchen, and then she came back in a bunny outfit holding a beautiful chicken sandwich with sprouts. Whether this was motivation or negotiation or some combination of the two, I will leave entirely to your judgment. Later, the carriage did eventually get assembled. The parade was coming regardless. Actually, so was Mark. Now I need to tell you who else was bringing animals, because this is where the story gets its shape. Black Caesar ran the streets of Montebello, 35, Hispanic, a gang leader who said a prayer for the people he robbed because he was religious about it. He believed his animals protected him from harm, and his animals were poisonous spiders, sharks, alligators, hippos, 3 giant pit bulls, 2 angry Dobermans, and more. For the parade, he had forced his gang to build a full parade float, with an actual aquarium on it for the sharks. His gang had presumably raised concerns. Those concerns had presumably been addressed in the way Black Caesar addressed concerns. By coincidence, this gang procession was going to march directly behind Mark and the pink carriage. Also in this parade, a kangaroo from Australia in boxing shorts and boxing gloves. Mrs. Pickering is rolling her aviary on wheels with a toucan inside. A sea captain from San Francisco walking a 4,000-pound sea lion on a leash. Doris the cat lady, whose cats performed a marching band routine while jumping through hoops. 6 Buddhist priests with 2 Komodo dragons on leashes. A snake charmer with a boa constrictor around his neck like a living scarf. An astronaut with an alien attached to his face. An alpaca. A flock of sheep marching in front of elephants holding tails. A mariachi band on horseback. A mime leading raccoons and squirrels. And bringing up the rear, clowns with shovels and buckets. The essential final element of any parade involving this many animals on a warm Los Angeles afternoon. Mark was pushing the pink carriage. Janet was photographing everything and uploading to Facebook in real time because in Los Angeles the documentation is as important as the event itself. They approached the mayor. They approached the Cardinal. And here is where I need to pause and tell you something about Cardinal Mahoney's chosen instrument of blessing, because I withheld this detail deliberately, and I think you'll understand why in a moment. The Cardinal was not using an aspergillum. He was not using any of the traditional equipment one associates with the formal blessing of God's creatures. He was using a toilet brush, dipped in a Home Depot bucket of holy water. With the serene confidence of a man who has resolved this question theologically and is not taking further questions. The Cardinal looked at Yum Yum in her pink carriage, dipped the toilet brush, and splashed Mark directly in the face, a full, committed splash of cold, holy water. At the exact moment the mariachi band, riding in procession behind them, decided this was their moment for volume. Yum Yum heard the water, felt the cold, heard the horns, and every instinct in $4,000 of Yorkshire Terrier said, "Run." She was out of the carriage before Mark's hand moved. Small legs at maximum capacity heading in exactly the wrong direction, toward Black Caesar's float. The alligator saw her first. The alligator had opinions about small, fast-moving things, and it moved with the efficiency of a creature that has been doing this since before mammals were a concept, and in the process, made contact with the shark aquarium. The aquarium, assembled under duress by gang members who were not professional aquarium builders, did not survive the contact. It tipped. It fell. The shark hit the street. The pit bulls decided this was the opportunity they had been waiting for, all 3 simultaneously. The handlers went in 3 directions. The dogs were free. The cats abandoned the marching band routine entirely. The boa constrictor found the nearest large, warm object, Mayor Villaraigosa, and wrapped around it with the commitment of a creature that does not do things halfway. The mayor handled this with a composure I genuinely respect. The kangaroo punched Mrs. Pickering. The boxing gloves were decorative, the kangaroo was not. The Komodo dragons looked around at everything happening and found it acceptable. They continued doing what dragons do. And the silverback gorilla. Yes, Black Caesar had a silverback gorilla on this float, and yes, it was now involved. Spotted Cardinal Mahoney. The Cardinal grabbed his staff and his bucket and ran with the energy of a man who has completely reconsidered this entire afternoon. In his exit, he knocked Janet directly into the fallen shark aquarium because the afternoon was not finished with Janet yet. Mark, by this point, was being stung by scorpions. Multiple scorpions. The Komodo dragons found him next, adding a second category of problem to the first. Animal control arrived. Dart guns, nets, uniformed officers. 6 ambulances followed, because one would not have covered it. 6 ambulances for 6 separate categories of injury, all originating from the same intersection on the same Saturday afternoon. The ambulances went where ambulances in this city go when there is nowhere else. County Hospital. Mark arrived with scorpion stings and Komodo dragon bites, which the intake form has no standard box for. Janet arrived damp and still holding her phone, because some habits survive direct contact with a fallen shark aquarium. Yum Yum was recovered, unharmed. Sitting in an animal control officer's arms, watching the ambulances leave with the expression of a dog who has absolutely no idea what everyone is so upset about. The pink carriage was a total loss. The sandwich, the chicken sandwich with avocado, tomatoes, mayonnaise, and sprouts that had started all of this, was sitting on the counter back at Janet's condo, wrapped in plastic, waiting. Whether Mark was ever in a position to eat it, I will leave to your imagination. Every bed at County Hospital has a story. That Saturday, 6 of them arrived at the same time, from the same corner, for reasons the standard intake paperwork was not designed to accommodate. The ward received them all, as the ward receives everyone. That's the blessing of the animals. That's East Los Angeles. And that, friends, is exactly how a man ends up with Komodo dragon bites because his girlfriend's Yorkie spooked at a mariachi band. Don't let anyone tell you this city is boring.